live over here. Looks like we good. Let's check the connection. Okay. Nobody in the chat, as usual here. As usual, but come on in if anybody sees this. You're invited into my kitchen. My name's Zach, and welcome. Merry Christmas on this Christmas Eve. Tuesday, December 24th, 12:30 on the East Coast here in Lebanon, PA. And as the title of the video says, I'm looking to do a little freestyle. So, yeah, I mean, geez. For me personally, this is a time of year that's always been tough in recent years. Christmas, my life's been different. And everybody has their own struggles, believe me. You know, I'm not one to cry about anything at all. But I certainly had, I had like one version of a reality, I would say. Up until the point at 30 years old. And that's when I lost my father. And so it's pushing 13 years ago now. And he was a huge part of my life. And then it's been the time after that. And that time has included a lot more struggle and loss for me. Beyond just my dad, I got into some pretty rough times, and I've struggled to some degree with drug addiction in my life. Dealt with an opiate addiction for 20 plus years, 20-ish years, 20 plus. And it was a huge part of my life, and it certainly molded and shaped me, and influenced me in so many ways. Hey, buddy. Hey, bud. It molded me and shaped me in so many ways, and it's crazy because I thought I hit like the bottom during that period of time, and it wasn't anywhere close. I mean, it was close. I shouldn't say that. I had some terrible times because of drug addiction, of course, like, what I thought was the bottom. But I've had issues that I've been dealing with two of my boys. I have two boys, and the pain and everything that I've experienced in this situation, dealing with my children, having them taken away from me against my will, and just everything that has come along with my story, it's been a lot. And so all that, since my dad passed and stuff, this time of year was always a little bit rough, and it just continued to get worse, frankly. Not having my children, not being able to have my children, I was around when both of my children were born, both my boys. I never not wanted to be involved with their lives. The degree to which I haven't been involved with their lives has purely been against my will, and I'm not saying that I could have handled it differently, but I did the best I could, and I thought I presented myself as honest as I could have, and tried my best the whole time. And it hurts, it's a tough thing to ignore on what should be, time with your family. And so, holidays this time of year is tough for me. That's it's been like that, like I said, since my dad died. And you know, I guess while I'm here telling a story, you know, when my father passed away, it happened that we lost both his parents with a matter of, you know, it was like 3.5 years, I believe, 4 years maybe. And over that 4-year period of time, it was my dad's dad, then my dad, and then my grandmother. And that was tough. That was this was, you know, my side of the family that I was closest to, that I felt the closest to. It certainly seemed like our family life revolved more around the Simone side of our family as rather than the Eisenhowers. I'm lucky and to be close with both sides of my family where I was, and had a really good relationship, and I'll get to that eventually here. And but you know, taking all that away at once with my dad, and it was difficult. Then, you know, to make it worse, I mean, geez, there's so much to talk about here to tell this story. It's kind of nuts. Well, let's say for now that, you know, I had put away a life that I had recovered and put together after kind of messing things up a bit, you could say. And I'd been running my own painting business and working on my own through my mid-20s, and I stopped all that to go and work with my father because he was a successful photographer, and I realized I should probably be learning from him, and I came to appreciate learning from skilled people when I began working with my hands. And honestly, it was probably that brought me around to more wanting to go work with my dad. It's crazy because I was just raised around a photography studio, and I always felt like I wanted to do my own thing, and I was encouraged to do my own thing in a sense. My dad encouraged me as an artist, and he was encouraged me at everything, and he was a great influence in my life, but he never forced me to take pictures, right? It wasn't like you're going to be a photographer like me. And so anyway, at 29, I decided I would do that. I stopped working for myself. Oh my God, fam. Holy crap. You're going to wind the whole video. Is that what's going to happen? Hi, bud. Okay. Here. All right. We're going to take a break. I'm at 29. Come on. Mm-hmm. Oh my. Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, man. What's up? Hey, if this doesn't get people into my chat, I mean, geez, man, come on. Everybody loves dogs, right? I mean, it's crazy. I don't think anyone ever sees my videos, but hi, buddy. That's why it don't matter if you're in there whining. I figure I might as well let you out. I don't think anybody can see us anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. You know, things have been tough, and this guy really kept me through a lot. I mean, he this dude preserved me through so much. In recent history, he's only working on 3, but those are an important few years we got here with fam. He's been good to me, and when I didn't have anything. My last dog, I don't even know if she's still alive. She was stolen from me. And yeah, we'll get to all that. And you better, buddy. Are you doing better that you're out here? Is that what you wanted? Is that what you wanted? Oh. So, you don't want to stay here. So, yeah. 29. And I stopped working for myself. And I guess, it was a big deal because I dropped out. I say I was, I'm 18 credits away from a history and political science degree at Temple in Philadelphia. And I dropped out, was addicted to oxys, basically doing all sorts of stuff, That was crazy times. I got millions of stories from that period of time. Shout out to all my Temple heads out there, and my friends out there. Came back to Lebanon from Philadelphia without the college degree. Basically, I ended up with a drug addiction, and I was able to. I had some problems with my family because of this. Yeah, let's just say that. And I ended up getting myself straight. I enrolled myself in a methadone clinic that was just built. I was number 44 for the clinic in our town. So I was one of the first people there. And I ended up staying on, and at a reasonable dose, I got myself straight and weaned off of it. And I was good for a number of years from that. I think I was in over the 5th year the next time I had used. But so yeah, I put all that, I got stuff together in my life, and kind of overcame my drug addiction for a brief second there, a few years, and things were going well. And I stopped the painting business that I had going, and went to start working for my father. So he got sick within, it was just coming up, I think, on a year that I was working there. And at 29, I had a kid on the way. He had just started shooting video work, and I was into music and have been since I was younger. And so I began to work my way into running the sound for our video production. And that was in the lead up to going to work for him full time. And when I went to work for him full time at 29, I had my first son Anthony was on the way, and or soon after, and it was minimum wage he was paying me, and it wasn't so bad because I got commission when I would work on different jobs, and it would even out to where I was well taken care of. To I wasn't making minimum wage. Let's put it that way. So, but when we were around the studio for most of our time, I was, and it is what it is. That's my dad taught me lessons throughout life that way. He did well in business, but he never bought himself a new car, and all these different things he passed on to me. And it's crazy because when he died, I didn't realize that he had passed these things on to me. I've only found that out as I've come to find out myself and come to learn myself as an adult and as a man. I'm 43 now, and he died when I was 30, basically. And I've had some pretty formative years since then. Certainly with, you'll hear the story about my life here. I guess that's what's happening. And yeah, I've had some pretty formative years since then that have turned me into a far different person than I was. And in that, and in a lot of other self-exploration I did during that time, that just all came along with all of it, man. I find out and stumble upon these lessons that my dad left me that I didn't even know I had, right? And It's powerful, man. I'm lucky to have an example, right? This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about referring to, for me in this situation, it's mostly referring to examples of memory and how he would do things. I'm way more skilled as a photographer ever now than I ever was when he was alive. And it's only because I've forced myself to try things and remember essentially how he would set things, or he would light things essentially. And then it's like, things that he used to say maybe that I didn't quite understand then, now I do, because my hands are in it more. It's really cool. This is a common theme, man. And I was lucky to have the father that I had. And, we were set to do a lot of cool things. He was set to do a lot of cool things. And I was really just happy to, earn my spot and to be there for it at that point in life. And which it seemed like I had going. And that was definitely what was going on. And then he got sick with cancer. And he passed in, 10 weeks? 10 weeks. And, and that just completely changed everything in my life. And, yeah, rest in peace, Dad. I miss you so much. And, it's just crazy how deaths in families will change the dynamic and change how people behave, and is what I'm saying. And I've seen a lot of just seeing people kind of act differently, or I don't know, man. I wasn't surprised by anything that happened. I saw it all, as I typically do. And it was just the fact that, like, the people involved didn't, and common theme, right? And so, really, like, this period of time began a real fallout with my family, and it really is what started this terrible period of time for me in my life after my dad passed away in 2012. And excuse me. Boy, so I'm not just talking about this because of Christmas. If you would have watched this from the beginning, if there's no one in my chat here. And but if you would watch this from the beginning, you might think that I'm talking about these times are tough, this time of year, Christmas season and holiday season. And it's certainly true, no doubt about it. Certainly true, but this year, this time is different. And for me personally, like, I'm going through one of the hardest times of my life, without a doubt. And it just seems like it's all kind of coming to an end. It seems like it's all been wrapped up and, like, presented to me to happen in a certain way. And it's really just a very, very difficult situation. It's a very difficult decision that I have to accept here, and also move forward. And the decision I have to make also to move forward. This problem of having my children, custody of my children, has just destroyed my life. It's just destroyed my life, man. Straight up. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, I tried to handle it the best I could. the whole time I gave my like honest effort from day one with my kids, just like I did when I had their custody, they were in my custody, or I had custody of them or whatever, before it was brought to the state, and the state ruined my family. Let's put it that way. I didn't have any problems with my children. I was there since they were born, and you know, with my oldest son, he was born in 2010, and you know, he was like, I think he was like 2 years old before, you know, when he started eating solid foods. I was like the only time that he had eaten anything that wasn't like natural fruit, vegetables. Like you couldn't buy organic baby food when he was a kid, right? When he was a baby, but I did my best to feed him pretty much organic fruits and vegetables. I had a pretty good garden going, and yeah, mash it up, you know, boil it, steam it, whatever, mash it up, put it in ice cube trays, and he was eating like that. He was good, and that's like, he was good. And if it was up to me, my kids wouldn't have got vaccines. My oldest one, in this whole period of time, in this whole BS that's been happening in my life, she took him back from me and basically cut off communication with me, and ended up going and getting 2 doses of the experiment on him, totally against my will. And you know, so like, I would have never, he, you know, these are all decisions about his health that are just crazy to me. And but you know, I'm a threat to my kid, right? I'm a problem. And it's just crazy, man. So I had my son till he was like 3, almost 3. And just about to turn 3, you know, a month away. And I had my house raided on a search warrant. And, you know, the case was like, they tried to make this like it was a big deal. Trump up the charges and everything else. And it ended up being about basically like a little less than an ounce of weed. And they were like, you know, the deals that, like, the first deal was like 10 years or something like that, you know. And it ended up that they messed up when they got the search warrant. But I had a gun that was just, it was a SKS, but it was for home defense, man. It was in my closet for home defense purely, and to go plunk some shots, right? My dad gave it to me, and I had an ounce of weed in a Tupperware on the counter, right, in my kitchen. Look just like this. Just like this. Right? This is turkey tail. Right? Sitting on the counter, just like that. Which, you know, if you understand how things are today, that's what it's pretty much. That's what the herb is. The medicine. And so, you know, they come in, tear my house up. I end up with endangering the welfare of a child and corruption of a minor, because that's what I pled out to, and I didn't realize how significant those charges would be used against me, and I probably wouldn't have pled to them had I known. And it was weed possession, marijuana paraphernalia, and then those charges. So I ended up pleading out, and the deal that I took gave me 2 years probation, 4 months house arrest, and I walked it all off and everything. And But in the meantime, I lost custody of my son, and it just started this process of that just never got better. I never got him back, basically. Yeah, so this was happening right at the same time after my father passed, and we were settling his estate, and there was some issues with that, man. Crazy. And I don't know what that really had to do with me being investigated and subsequently, or consequentially rather, raided with this search warrant that was obtained illegally, because they came on my property to get the trash for the trash pull. But anyway, and there was an issue of a anonymous tip in the paperwork. And you know, I don't know what the deal is, man, but when I was in jail for the week before I bailed out for that, and I never went back in to serve a sentence for that. That was like the only time I spent incarcerated. And I got back out, and they had already taken Anthony. And I come to find out that on this temporary custody order, that my mom and my sister testified against me. And it involved, you know, certainly some truth, but there was a good deal of mischaracterization. And this also, like, I just didn't understand what, like, they were really taking a position like I was a threat to my own child. It was really insane. And they started something that I never would. I haven't understood it since then, and I still haven't. I've never exhibited any behavior that would make me think I was a threat to not my child, not just my children, but any child. I've always been a rather good parent. I was strict on moral behavior and rules. Yeah, I don't know, man. My friends' kids always love me. In general, I get along good with people. People love me, right? And it's just crazy, man. Everything changed after my dad died, and so I lost custody of Anthony, and that triggered. Really, that was like a second phase of my opiate addiction. Personally, I didn't really know at the time. Things were happening so fast, but I was into that period of time a little bit, where I realized that I'm relapsing and struggling with staying clean now. Like, my problem is my son, is because I don't have my son in my life. Things were so chaotic that I couldn't even identify that at first, and during that period of time. And then I realized that was like the obviously the main issue, the way it made me feel. I've never been able to get over it from the moment it's happened. I mean, I raised my children, put them to bed every night, you know, feed them, change their diapers, do all those things. And then they're just taken from you, and you're accused of as being a threat and a problem, like you're a harm to them. And then my family, my dad and his parents are gone, and essentially what's left of my family, my mother and my sister, with the rest of my extended family in tow, takes up a position to justify the removal of my son from my custody, and instead of standing with me. standing with their brother, standing with their son. And like I said, there are other things going on that I think influenced all this. And it's so crazy because, in my opinion, like, my children have been taken away and out of my life. And it's like, it's just all, it's been this big rolling ball of behavior. And it's gotten to the point that's so crazy. Like, the stuff that's happened recently is so crazy. And I just can't believe it. I can't believe how things have gone down. I mean, to the point where it's just like paralyzed me, my ability to function. It's messed me up, man. I don't understand why my own family won't, they don't care that these things are happening to me. I've gone to them and asked for help and my children's mothers are doing this and look what they're doing to me, and I'm not doing anything at all to them. I don't want anything bad for them. I just want the fair access to my child. Look at all these different things, and like, your family doesn't care, and by the end of it, it seems like they're more than involved in it all. It's been really tough. All right, buddy. Yeah, how much time we got, man? So all this culminated with not my son. I didn't even get there to this story. My story is pretty crazy. The story of my life so far. And right now I'm struggling, man. I'm limping. I'm keeping it together as best I can, and I'm like, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to the other side. I got people in my life that love me and care for me, and thank God, because like, I would not be able to do what I'm doing by myself. I was really pushed to a limit, I believe. I believe it was intentional, and I believe that the people that were doing these things against me, like, they really want bad things for me. And it's literally taken everything that I've had to keep it all together, to step correctly throughout all this, so I've been able to maintain my own safety. Because you look back in hindsight, man, just wait till this story is all out there and you hear all these things. It's heavy and it's crazy, and you see things for what they are when you, like, trust me, when you live through it and all this stuff happens to you, I don't know how else you're supposed to take it. And I'm pretty sure when you hear everyone that's heard, like, even a little bit of it is, and so my life's been up and down since I first lost custody of my son Anthony, and 2014, whatever, and my dad passing away in 2012, and losing my his family at large during that time. And I've done my best, struggle with drug addiction on and off. I'm 4 years clean right now. I relapsed before that. I had a little struggle, and I was coming off like 3 years clean-ish, or something like that. Yeah, 3 right before that. And so I think I'm very grateful to God for giving me the strength that I need to be able to keep everything together, and I'm thankful for another day clean. I'm thankful to be relieved of that. Today it's not everyday struggle for me, but the rest of my life is, for sure. And that's the other thing, man. Like, these people that have really harmed me with my children and my family, and these women, they say they wanted the best for me, right? They say they wanted me to be healthy. And doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like it's the worst thing in the world that I'm clean, and they certainly haven't, I haven't talked to them since they've took my kids away from me. And so this is all like becoming final. This whole situation, I had another child in there, Oliver. I met a girl. Upgraded her life, built her a salon. This is probably like one of the, I'd imagine you could put it up there and say it's one of the nicest salons around, like possibly the nicest one in Lebanon County here. And we're right north of Lancaster County in Lancaster, and just one county east of Harrisburg. And I think you could put this salon right up there with anything around in this whole area. It certainly would be on the list, and I'm very proud of the work we did in that place. And we ended up having a child together, and I ended up investing in us as a family and doing this together. And basically just the other day, she tied up the whole situation is now done, and she's effectively stolen my child, and he's been adopted by some dude I don't even fucking know. It's insane. She took Oliver from me after she left me. She stole the salon from me, everything I put into it. It sent my life into a tailspin. It's crazy because it wouldn't even happen. The whole thing was a scheme of mine on, what is basically kind of like what I was into recently or at the time with making money. And I was into business and properties, and I saw an opportunity in her as a stylist, and she had a one chair salon, nice little place for herself, and we saw opportunity to expand her business. And I work with my hands. I do all sorts of things. Consider myself like a polymath pretty much, and but I remodeled this old mechanics shop, sick place, man. Two bay garage doors, glass panel garage doors, and like I think I power washed that greasy cement floor. Seven degreasing scrubs and like 11 power washes, I think. And then finally I was able to stain it with the acid stain concrete and do the floor how it is. Turned out sick. The whole place is sick. I built like a floating table that floats along, hangs from an I-beam. Everything was custom made, the stations. I did it all. The whole entry room. There's no way she would have been able to afford any of that if I wouldn't have done that for her. And it's crazy. I relapsed. She left me. It looks like it could have been even more than that, right? She might even, I don't know. She was quickly running around with people and whatever. Not even worried about any of that. But my family really stood against me again. I had just normalized my life, and I had cut them out of my life for what happened with my dad, right around my dad's death. I didn't talk to my mom and my sister for 3 years, and then I meet Heather, have Oliver, and bring them back into my life. Build this salon investment right in front of my whole family. Then she leaves, and she manipulated my entire, my other son's mother Like, they're all a happy family. Like, the shit I heard in the courtroom the other day is crazy. So, you know, she leaves me. They support her. I basically go by myself. And I say, family, like, that's crazy. We just went through this before with Anthony. Now you're going to do it all over again. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right. And I haven't talked to my family. I stopped talking to them, and it's been almost 4 years, 3.5 years since I haven't talked to them. And I will not have anything to do with my family after everything that's happened. We are certainly... there's no blood there anymore, man. It's disgusting what they did to me. There's no way I couldn't even imagine seeing someone else go through this. Like, seeing someone else do this to, like, a family of their member of theirs. It's just mind-boggling. What I've endured and what I've gone through is I didn't think, like, I don't know, man. I just don't think that, like, people would be like able to do these things. But yeah, you know, my Oliver's mom, Heather, she's like, you know, they're all in the same lawyer now, right? They're fighting me together, and they've just done their best to keep me they want me out of my kids' lives, I guess. I don't understand it. I'm somebody that brings, like, I've done a lot of good things in my life. While it hasn't been perfect, I certainly don't deserve this. No one does. But I actually have achieved some pretty decent things in my life, and that's what really makes it crazy to me. A lot of people look up to me to with some regard, you know, and like the disrespect and devaluation that I've gotten at the hands of my own family and these women that, you know, did love me at one point, right? I would never treat a partner the way that they've treated me. And it's all been unjustified. Every single last bit of it has been unjustified. I never had behavior that would have justified any of this. It came from a marijuana charge that was used to take custody away from me. And yeah, I had a hard time. I relapsed on opiates because, like, it was tough not having my kids, and I've never been okay with it. Not ever. Not ever. And so I cycled on coping with it is what happened, right? But even during any of that, I was never a threat to my kid ever. And all this is culminated when we built this salon and she left me, and you know, I that was the last time I had relapsed, and I haven't used since then, you know. Then we finally had a falling out, and she like yanked Oliver, started to use Oliver against me and tried to pose, and then she started to act like I'm a threat and all these different things, and act like I'm like a threat to her, like I was stalking her, and like all this stuff, dude. She's probably gonna like beef about this being against this like BS order that she has, a PFA, which is completely unjustified. I never even got the chance to defend it. This story is crazy. I literally, like, I tried throughout this whole process, and you know, the story will all be there. I'm gonna start talking about my life apparently with all this. I knew this needed to happen, and I need to talk about what just happened with Oliver. So like, all this culminated, you know, this Heather leaves me. I'm all by myself. The only reason that salon happened was because it was a scheme where it was like we really like hustled Rob Peter to pay Paul to get it done. A lot of elbow grease. And I was left, like, I used the cash that I had to pay my property taxes and upcoming for the buildings that I own. So like when we split, I was just like, yeah, cool. Like we can sort this out. Like, you know, I get if this relapse is like too much for you to deal with, that's cool. I got to take responsibility for my own actions, right? But like, let's figure out how we're going to deal with our son, and same with the salon. Like we were always good. We never had problems like that. I never had a reason to treat her poorly. She just became this like different person, you know. It was crazy. And I mean, so we'll get to that, but so basically she just told me, you know, I'm like, hey, I need that money, you know, like we did this whole salon thing with like my tax money. That's like a huge part of that. I need that back to pay my property taxes, right? Like, and yeah, at first she told me, yeah, it's good. And then by the end of it, you know, a few months later, that was like when she was breaking up with me, moving out. And then a few months later, when we finally fell out, because I was still fixing the salon, and I was over at her house taking care of our son at her new place. And then at that point, she was like, pound sand, you ain't getting nothing. And it really put me in a position to where, I mean, like my life's been everything has to do with everything, man. I'm stuck. I don't have access to any of my money. I was trying to sell a property that I own. It ended up getting sold at tax sale illegally. There's more complications now. I'm basically involved in litigation surrounding the sale of this place because it's the latest in a huge string of all sorts of weird types of behavior that's happened to me. I was tased in my back while working on one of my properties. I ended up being arrested, taken to jail with extra money put on my bail that shouldn't have been there. When I was they stole my dog. Hadn't talked to Heather in months and months and months. Then she shows up when I get arrested and tased, drugged to jail, and steals my dog. Talk to everyone in the police and city. No one does nothing about it. They tell me after like a week, 2 weeks of chasing people down, phone calls, yeah, we're not going to do nothing about it. You can file a civil case. Well, how? Like, it's crazy. I was down in the block in jail in our county, and we get a call over the system. Simone, come up. You got a phone call. And meanwhile, I got tased in my back for a month and a half late child support. Shouldn't even been a warrant out, or like tased in my back, taken to jail, and then I had to withdraw off of my Suboxone medication while I was being held in there. I wasn't given proper phone call, but I was given a call that was like, oh yeah, it was Heather's cousin who works at the jail, dates a city cop. She gives me some story about how my dog Beaner was taken to the Humane Society and was sick. All this stuff. She's sick. She's going to die. So I had to write this letter thinking my dog's going to die. I was sitting there for 2 days worried about like, you know, everything going on with me. And then on top of that, I think my dog's sick. They said she was like throwing up blood. They couldn't save her. I had to authorize her to spend money. All this crazy shit, man, because she I ended up getting my sister to help me communicate with her when I was in jail, but she wouldn't. Like, I'm like, yo, can you help me just go and pick up rent money from one of my tenants and then I can bail out and deal with all this myself? She wouldn't do that. So basically I found out that my dog was never taken to the Humane Society. She was kept in the police garage, apparently, for days, for like 4 days in the cold. It's like December, late November, December. Then my ex Heather shows up out of nowhere, gets my dog, and I never see my dog again. And it's all has to do with this story of Raina, her cousin, and me, Raina telling me that like they had Beaner, and I talked to her and her police officer, now husband Derek, right? And like basically I busted them in lies, talking about, went to the Humane Society. They, it was crazy. They stole my dog, yo. No one would give me answers. I called the fucking police then. So, after Heather left me, she had shacked up with this dude that was involved. That's basically the mayor's kid in our town. Now, while he's not the guy who adopted my son the other day in court, it sure seemed like all this crazy stuff started happening to me during that period of time. And I was fighting the custody. I filed with lawyers for both of my children. And Heather agreed to something in mediation and basically walked out on it. And my lawyer wouldn't file contempt. I go back to him and he wouldn't file contempt. Like, this story sounds crazy, man. But like all this stuff happened step by step this whole way. And it's crazy. It leads me to believe that all this is going down and it just should go down this way. I've done nothing but fight like hell and ruin my sanity to try to be in my children's lives. Like the state and the courts have been drug in between me and my family, and no good has resulted from it. And you want to hold me at threat of arrest all the time. This whole thing has been horrible, and I'll continue to tell these stories and hopefully tell them in a more cohesive manner. Like the entire story of my life, I think it really needs a movie, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's a big statement to make. I'm not the sort of person that's that, like, conceited, or I need a movie about myself. But like, the story is crazy. There's so much. As this was happening, we were already halfway into things in the last like 10, 12 years, and I was already at the point where I couldn't tell people. I'd talk to people about it, and I could see them turn off. I could see them, and like, I could see people that I knew that were there with me throughout all of it. They knew the truth of it. They seen it happen, and they still couldn't, like, digesting all the parts. And and I don't know if I dwell on things too much or at all, but like, like, I've been under assault and attack in a sense, and I mean, the facts just add up to it. I don't know how else to look at it. The loss of my kids has crippled me. Like, there's no doubt about it. I've been a part of an individual since losing things with Anthony, since having him taken from me. A part of a person. I have my own family, and the mothers of my children telling me that I'm a threat to them. Like, I might not be perfect in the rest of my life, but what do I do to show that I'm a threat to anyone, much less my children? I think I do, like, pretty good stuff in the rest of my life, don't you see? And like, it hurts so much. I'm so fucked by this, man. And coming from a mother's behind all this on this side of the family, has ganged everyone up against me, man. Taking my kids from me. I don't talk to nobody. I haven't communicated with anyone for now over 3 years. And this all culminated recently with me showing up in court, trying to tell the state how I was thankful to be in court because she was in contempt. And, like, with the conditions of my life and the fact that I hired a lawyer, the mediation that we all had agreed to, she didn't agree to it, and then he refused to file contempt. I actually went and hired another lawyer in Harrisburg, and he walked out on it. He had the last $2,800 of me or my money at the time, and I got so messed up that I haven't been able to work. I've fallen into a severe depression. It's been everything that I have to just survive. period, man. I'm running a tab with my doctor. I have people that are helping me and supporting me financially until I can resolve this issue with my property. And don't you know, like this property that I've been trying to sell for almost 3 years, if I would have sold this at any time or been able to move ahead with this, I was under 3 contracts this season right before it got sold illegally at tax sale. And now I've been hung up. I had to fight to get it back, prove it was sold illegally, and it was. And then now I take it to a local auction house to get it auctioned, and it ends up this situation is another movie in of itself. I mean, I'm telling you, the amount of things that have happened to me in a nonstop streak, you have to only think that there's greater forces involved. I don't know how you wouldn't. So man, it's started to tell my life story today. That's what the freestyle was. You know, I had the state take my son 2 weeks ago now, right? With under the premise of lies, under the premise of a false fairy tale story. And I attempted to defend myself. I certainly expressed the fact that, like, I want to be in my son's life. I was there since he was born. This is all a misunderstanding against my will as far as I'm concerned. And none of that was good enough. And she had this, she was able to tell her fairy tale story and do all these things. And then I literally was prohibited from lines of questioning. All of a sudden, in the middle of the case, the judge just decided that, nope, I couldn't talk about anything before this certain point. And it was extremely relevant information, and I attempted to do so over and over. I don't even understand how, like, that even, like, you could take that whole situation away, and being that I showed up in court and said what I said, other than that, I don't think you could take someone's child from them if a person does that. You know, I was put on child support with my children. It's in a situation that it's not for. I was being kept from my children's lives and then made to pay support. I wasn't never not around. You go in the child support office to pay every month, and it's like, do you need help finding the father of your child? Do you need help locating them? No, I was there in the hospital with her when he was born. Everything was good. And I've been there ever since, until she decided she didn't want me there. So all this has culminated in I had my parental rights to my son Oliver exterminated by the state against my will. I haven't known how to cope with it. Just the fact of, like, losing my children and really just having my family, like, bail on me the way they did and take up a position against me, it really messed me up, man. Really, really messed me up. I mean, I've never been one to, like, fall on my opiate addiction as a crutch. You know, I've achieved a lot in life despite that. I've actually achieved a lot of successful adult years. You know, I mean, the salon that I built with Heather is a testament to that. My own successes in business are a testament to that. I have art that I've had experience and done a lot of work in music and sound, and had some time DJing, making music, playing it out. I've done many, many different things, construction, contracting. Nothing, any of the time has ever said, like, I was a bad parent. And when I was around my kids, I felt like I was a great parent. And boy, it hurts you, man, when the people that are supposed to love you, they go against you. And I've been kept on the outside now. I've had my own family, rubber stamp the theft of my children. They all get together and have holidays. So this Christmas, like tonight, they'll all be over there acting like I'm dead. And this is now, they did it before, this is again now for like a 4th year. So they'll have my kids over there all together with my family, my mom. What happened where'd Zach go? Where'd Dad go? Right? No one's like, I was seeing my children on a normal basis until they got yanked from me from both these women. The court case became indefinitely suspended and then was just like forgotten about. Heather and the other one walked away. I mean, I'll tell these stories. They don't want to accept drug tests. I give them like a 1.5 years worth of drug tests from my doctor because I'm on a prescription that requires drug testing. They accuse me of faking it. I get a hair follicle test. They accuse me of faking the hair follicle test. Then I finally agree because all this shit, and she's talking all this shit about me basically. I agree to supervision and mediation court with Heather, and then that's what she uses. She doesn't agree to a mediator, and I never saw my son again. And she lied about the whole situation when we were in court the other day in this adoption court. Completely mischaracterized all of it, and then I wasn't given a chance to defend myself with it. I don't know how all this is going to come out. I don't know if this is like at all cohesive. This story is so complex. So complex. It's really going to take like a series of videos talking about this and people to even care for, like for people to dive into this story of mine. But man, Oliver, I love you, man. I never wanted this. I tried with your mom. I tried with my family. I don't know why everyone doesn't want me around. I don't know why they don't appreciate me, despite everything I've done for all of them in all their lives, which is considerable. Anthony, I don't know why, man. I don't know why. You're old enough to know, and I'm not as worried about you. It breaks my heart that I haven't been able to be a part of your life the way I've wanted to. Either one of my sons. Either one of you. I know that we've had enough time together, Aunt, and that you know me. I know that. And that's what I'm going to fall back on, and I hope that saves this whole situation in the long-term future. And that's all I can hope for. And this is the toughest thing I've ever dealt with in my life, losing my sons, having them taken from me against my will, and like showing up in court, trying to thinking I'd have a chance at keeping Oliver, seeing him again. I thought I was going to be able to finally fucking see him again. Oh, like she's going to be held like responsible for just ignoring the court order. It's crazy, man. I'm so numb to this, and like this is such a big part of my life that I've been operating as like a part of a person for a long time. 12 years, 13 years. Being told that you're a threat to your own children, being told that you're a problem to be, I had to go with my son Anthony and do hourly visits every other Sunday at our municipal building with a stranger. I did that for like over years. She made me do that. She wouldn't give me more time with him. I let them do this and it's hurt the whole time, right? But I never acted back out. I took it all. I tried to walk through it the right way, and they never gave me anything back. And they've only done things to harm my relationship with my children. Not once in recent memory has any of them done anything to help my relationship with my sons, despite the fact that that's all I've been trying to do. That's all I've ever expressed. I don't know what it means for me to talk about these things in my life, you know, in this format. But, you know, the depths of heroin addiction, right? The depths of drug addiction and the pain revolved and the suffering involved and surrounding that don't hold nothing to this. Nothing. And I used the one to cope with the other for years, and that got me in trouble, man. That got me in trouble, and it was always used against me. And I'm not perfect, you know, but I've always been a good person in my heart, and I've never actually physically done nothing to hurt anyone like that, especially not my kids, man. I'm a protector. I'm someone that stands up for, you know, people being bullied. These are things that I'm known for, right? This is what my life proves out. It's been one of the hardest things in the world to have my children stripped from me and have my family sit there and be like, yeah, that's you. That's you. That's who we think you are. Yep, we're okay with that. You go ahead. You know how I've been going for long enough. I don't know how this is going to look format-wise, but yeah, I have my son taken from me against my will by the state of Pennsylvania. And his evil mother, I mean, what she's done, the fact that you can get up in front of a court and swear to God and then lie the way she did, the straight lies. And I could detail all of it, and it seems like this is something that has to happen, and I need to be stepping away from the situation. I can't try anymore. I've put honest effort for years towards the situation and the people in it, and there's nothing. What can you prove to substantiate any claims made by you or by them on their side, saying I'm unfit, saying I'm a problem, saying anything? I've been in like a trauma shock, you know, the last whole time. And you know, like the crazy part is that all this comes from, like, my mom's deeply involved in this whole situation, you know, deeply. And all this comes from a parent who, like, I was sexually molested under her care as a child. That's how, you know, my life started out. My first memories are being sexually molested. You know, like, she was a parent that thought it smart enough to allow your tiny little 4, 5, 6-year-old child to hang out with a preteen with flaming homosexual tendencies that were like this type of stuff, like in the early 80s, like before it was even like a thing. He was like, do you understand? I had memories of his tendencies, and only later in life put it together with what it actually was. I thought that was just Mitchell. Mitchell just acts like that. So I'm going to let my little son hang out with a flaming gay teenager. Go be alone for hours at a time. And I was sexually molested under her care for years until we moved out of that house, that first house we lived in, you know. And then I brought this to her. I didn't tell anybody until I was in counseling for drug addiction in my early 20s. And I go to my mother to tell her this. And she says to me, I don't know what you want me to do about it. But I don't know what you want me to do about it, Zach. So for her to come out at all and talk about me being a threat to my kid is crazy, because I would never even let her. She never cared for my children when they were in my custody. I wouldn't even let them with her. And then it turns out that she's like used against me in court. It's the whole time. This is crazy, because in court I would say, yeah, but that's my mom. I'm not like, she doesn't, her word doesn't literally don't mean nothing. As a matter of fact, it's like literally a biased source, if anything. And, you know, that's something about this process, is that, like, the whole time, every time I've ever been in front of a court or in front of a judge, or, like, my feelings don't matter as a parent. My opinion as a parent, my opinion of the situation doesn't matter. I've never accused them of doing anything wrong, ever. All of our interactions in court consist with me defending accusations that have all not ever really amounted to anything. And that's the whole course of everything. If you look at everything, that's what we got. Now, how fucked is that? You know, it's things like this that make me know that I have to step away from this whole situation. I can't do this no more. This is eating me alive. The trauma and the pain that I've endured from this whole situation, my children, is I can't do it anymore, man. Since being drug into court, I was thinking I was going to be able to go defend my rights to my son Oliver recently here, you know, within the last 2 weeks. I forget what the date was. Might have been just 2 weeks ago. But since then, man, I've known I needed to talk about it here, and I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how. My story is really so complex, and I feel like I need to talk about my whole story. But for this specific thing, this shit has eaten me up, man. This shit has eaten me up, and I just know I can't keep giving back into a situation that doesn't want to do nothing but hurt me. These people want to put me in jail. These people want to, essentially they bet on me to die. They bet on me to die. Like, my beef with my family is because I just wanted them to make decisions. I say, hey, Mom, hey, sister, can you make decisions with me based around the best interest of my kids being with me for my rightful half of the time? And they wouldn't do that. No, I could tell you details, all the situations, they'll come up, but that's it. That's what we're standing on here. That's the problem. And they've continued now in the years since. That like put me in a state of trauma and shock that, on top of everything else, I really couldn't recover from. I just tripped over that until they just, now Heather just took Oliver from me. I was going to my family saying, hey guys, I took them to court. Like, the courts seem corrupted. Like, the courts are, like, my lawyer, I called my lawyer out, the one that wouldn't file for her. Hey, the one that wouldn't file her contempt. I called him out. I live in a small town, and with my ex and who she was dating. She was dating the mayor's son, who was running at the time for a judge seat. James Capello, running for a judge's seat that was his dad's. His dad stepped down from a district justice seat that he held for a long time, since the 80s probably. Right? His mom's been the mayor for 12, 15 years. I don't know. Right? So they make a new deputy coroner position for Judge Capello. He steps down. They run James, and he loses to an 18-year-old Spanish girl from the north side. And apparently Heather must have dumped him shortly after that. But it seems like all these crazy things that happened with the courts and everything happened during this period of time. That's when my dog was stolen. I went back to my lawyer and I told him, I said, why won't you file? I've been trying to file contempt on her. I've told you for weeks and weeks this went on, right? Well, I'm just can't file. And I called him. I said, dude, I don't know who you're working for, but it ain't me, right? And I'm pretty sure I know what's going on, and you're going to give me my money back. And he ended up cutting me 2 different checks. I could probably walk in on him and collect money from him as of right now, because I called him out on being corrupt. And same goes for Donna Brightbill, who now sits in a judge's seat. And I'll air her out too, man. She's the one that let my case be indefinitely suspended. Because as Heather was sitting there, not respecting our court order, our mediated court order, and being in contempt of court, and I was unable to file against her because the lawyer I paid refused to do so. I had this other case coming up where the two mothers have the same lawyer. I had this case coming up in the next 6 weeks where we were down to the court phase, and I had a different lawyer for Anthony. So I figured the shit with Heather was going to get settled because they had the same lawyer, and we would move forward then. Well, guess what? That got indefinitely suspended. Donna Brightbill didn't do a damn thing about it. She had all the information she needed. She had my drug test. She had everything. It took me weeks to get it. They didn't even let me know it was indefinitely suspended. I found this out when calling to prepare about it in the days prior because I hadn't heard from their office. And then it took me weeks to get a sit down with her, and 5-6 weeks to chase her down. I had to pop up on them. I mean, it's crazy. So I felt rather helpless. I felt like there was some types of forces working against me. I don't know. And at the very least, I wasn't handling this situation well with regards to my kids. It was very difficult. I was doing my best, but it was very difficult. And I was going back to my family and telling them how these things were affecting me. At the same time, I don't have money because Heather just stole everything we worked together to build in the salon. And my family doesn't care. Didn't do anything to help me, man, and everything to hurt me. And so that's how we sat. We sat in that situation where my court case was indefinitely suspended. I actually went and hired another lawyer in Harrisburg. I thought it was going to get dealt with, and that's when she filed this PFA. That's I didn't even get a chance to defend. I wasn't properly served. Lebanon's somewhat of a small town city, and I know a lot of the police officers, and he served it. An officer served it to me on a traffic stop, and he said that a bunch of people on the force were rolling around with this paperwork for weeks now, months, he said, looking for me. So apparently by the time he gives me this, the PFA was already in play for months. I go give it to this lawyer, hire the lawyer to deal with that, and the 2 child cases that had now been railroaded, basically. And I paid him $2,800, and essentially he refused to file the thing. Our whole understanding was we need to file the PFA refute within the proper time limit, and we approached the time limit, and he didn't file and tried to argue with me how it was going to be no big deal if we just file next week. And then me and him got into a fight, and basically he beat me for my money, pretty much. So, and then I sat there with no money, and I didn't know what to do. And that pretty much played out to the situation with where we ended up in court with her moving to kill my parental rights to my son Oliver, and at the same time granting the adoption of Oliver to her new douchebag, some 27-year-old kid that don't know his fucking dick from his knee. It's ridiculous, yo. It was a miscarriage of justice that happened in that courtroom for sure. And if that's the result and that's the effect of our state on families, then we need to rework how we're doing things, bottom line. So I'll talk about this more, man. I think more than anything, that was an event session for me, and the holidays are tough. And you got a little bit of my life story and why they're tough and why they're tough for me right now. And I don't know, man. And yeah, I know I need to talk about these things. I think I've dealt with some extreme versions of what a lot of people can relate to, and I think it might help some people, and I'm sure it would probably help me. So maybe I can talk about this a little more later. So blessings out to everyone. Merry Christmas. Wherever you're at, I hope you're doing well. And there's two sides, man. You're either on the good or the bad. You got to make that choice, so hope you make the right one. And take care. Till next time. I think I'm going to be revisiting this pretty shortly. So we'll see you then.